order the Tuesday, March 4th meeting of the Monmouth City Council, and ask Phyllis for a roll call, please.
Counselor Carey?
Here.
Counselor Coons?
Here.
Counselor Meyer?
Here.
Counselor Milligan?
Here.
Counselor Schaefer?
Here.
Counselor Silbernagel?
Here.
Mayor Oberst?
Yes. All rise for the flag salute, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's always nice when we have folks in the audience for that, because there's a little more resonance to it than when it's just a set of us. So, sounds good from up here. Although we do sound good, but not as good as we feel here. Right, sure, right, I stand corrected, I said correct. Consent calendar tonight consists of minutes from the council meeting of February 18th and the work session the same evening. If I could have a motion to approve those two sets of minutes.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? And we'll adopt those two sets of minutes. We have the honor of swearing in a new police officer. Chief? Getting organized. I surprised him.
Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to call Officer Benjamin Simpson forward. Come up with me. You stand right here. But before taking the oath tonight, I'd like to just briefly introduce Officer Simpson and talk a little bit about his background. Ben grew up in Dallas, Oregon, graduated from Dallas High School in 2011. He has since taken some courses at Chemeketa Community College and hopes to complete his associate's degree in the future. Growing up as the son of a police officer and now of a police chief, congratulations to his father Tom. Ben has spent most of his life surrounded by people serving in law enforcement positions. And I think he made his decision early that he also wanted to serve. As a teenager, Ben was a volunteer at the Dallas Police Department, assisting with many different capacities. In 2012, he became a cadet at the Independence Police Department, volunteering in that position for several months. In June of 2013, he was hired by the Monmouth Police Department as our community service officer. We quickly realized all of the skills that Ben had due to the many hours of volunteer work that he did at both Dallas and at Independence. And we quickly added to his duties a part-time records clerk. So he was doing both community service work and records work for us. And then 2 short months later, right after that, we had an opening for a police officer position. And just as luck would have it, Ben was turning 21 years old, which is a requirement in the state of Oregon to become a police officer. So we hired Ben on his 21st birthday, October 14th. And we sent him to the police academy on his 21st birthday, October 14th. And by the way, there's a few what we would all consider life-changing events in our lives, and turning 21 might be a huge life-changing event. Getting your first career position is a huge life-changing event. And that wasn't enough for Ben. He and his fiancée decided they were going to get married just before, I think it was just before you turned 21.
October 4th.
October 4th, so major life-changing event happened just before he was hired. So his wife Morgan is back here tonight. And so, some of the testing that we go through when we look at candidates for police officers positions are things like, can they handle pressure? Or can they do multiple tasks at one time? And I thought, gosh, Ben created his own test for himself, trying to get hired, turning 21, and getting married all within the same month. And I can't imagine what his family had to go through during that month, but it was very exciting at the time. Now I want to speak briefly about the swearing-in ceremony. This is a brief ceremony. It may seem like a formality to some, but to Ben, this is a very significant event in his law enforcement career. This day, he and his family members and his friends will remember forever. Taking the oath is important and necessary in order to exercise authority as a police officer in the state of Oregon, and that's the obvious reason that we have the ceremony. But there's more to taking the oath than just repeating some words spoken out loud tonight. For Ben tonight, in front of a public audience, he's affirming the fact that he understands the position of authority that he now is in. He's affirming that he understands what it means to be a public servant and the sacrifices that he will be making throughout his career to protect the citizens of Monmouth. He understands that the citizens he serves put all of their trust in him to always be honest, ethical, fair, and a person of the highest integrity. Ben knows that he will always be held accountable for his actions, and therefore will strive to keep the public's trust, always doing the right thing. This is the reason why the oath is spoken aloud in front of a public audience such as this tonight. Tonight, Benjamin Simpson is making his promise to each of you to expect nothing but the best from him as he takes on a necessary and critical role in our society. Throughout his career, Ben will be challenged. He will face adversity. He will see the good in some people, and he will also see human beings at their absolute worst. He will help people who will be forever grateful, and he will be criticized by some who may not fully understand the actions that he will have to take in order to keep himself and his community safe. He will be placed in harm's way at times, and he will be expected to react within seconds and make the right decision every time. Some people will recognize him as a hero for what he does, while others will second-guess his actions and never be satisfied with the work that he performs. So Ben, you've answered a calling to serve others no matter what the circumstances are. As many in our society run away from danger, you are one of the chosen few who will run toward danger to protect people you don't even know. Being a police officer is truly a calling, and I guarantee you that you will experience all that I've mentioned if you remain in law enforcement long enough. It's not a job for the weak, but rather for those of strong mind and strong body. Before administering the oath, here is the most important thing that I want you to remember, Ben, and never forget it. It's that you work for each and every member of this community. Just like it states in the Law Enforcement Code of Ethics, as a police officer, your fundamental duty is to serve mankind, to help everyone, no matter who they are and for whatever reason, that are in need of help and cannot help themselves. So for these reasons, which I believe are all the right reasons, I'm very proud at this time to administer the oath and welcome Benjamin Simpson aboard as the newest member of the Monmouth Police Department. I'll have you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Benjamin Simpson,
I, Benjamin Simpson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Oregon,
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Oregon,
the charter and ordinances of the city of Monmouth,
the charter and ordinances of the city of Monmouth,
and that I will,
and that I will,
well and faithfully,
well and faithfully,
perform the duties of police officer
perform the duties of police officer
for the city of Monmouth
for the city of Monmouth
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Congratulations.
Very well done, Chief, as usual. Welcome aboard. Thank you. Glad to have you. I would like to turn now to a proclamation, and my plan is to read this proclamation from here and then invite a representative of the American Red Cross up, and we can meet over by the manager's table, and I'll hand off this proclamation. Whereas March is American Red Cross Month, the time to recognize and thank our everyday heroes, those ordinary people who perform extraordinary acts to aid others in need. Red Cross heroes are on the front lines every day. And whereas we would like to recognize our heroes in the city of Monmouth who work tirelessly to help people affected by disasters, donate blood to save lives, and provide comfort and compassion to individuals in crisis. They provide round-the-clock support to members of the military, veterans and their families, and teach life-saving classes in CPR, aquatic safety, and first aid. And whereas across the country and around the world, the Red Cross responds to tragedies such as home fires, floods, and natural disasters, and assists members of the armed forces, their families, and veterans. In Oregon, nearly 2,000 volunteers stand ready to help when disaster strikes. And whereas we dedicate the month of March to all those who support the Red Cross mission to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies, our community depends on the Red Cross, which relies on donations of time, money, and blood to fulfill its humanitarian mission. Now therefore, I, John E. Oberst, Mayor of the City of Monmouth, do hereby proclaim March to be American Red Cross Month in Monmouth, Oregon, and encourage all residents of the city to join in their observance and witness thereof. I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the city to be affixed this 4th day of March, 2014. So it's Red Cross Month. Oh, fantastic.
Glad to have you here. Thanks. And I think we'll get in our picture.
They was first our day at the high
You
school,
bet.
just so happens. Blood drive day at the high school.
Yeah, I actually stopped and talked to a couple of students, and they had their stickers on and their bandage on their arm, and they said it was going very well. Okay, turning to reports for myself. Had our monthly WIMPEG board meeting, and the exciting news from there is that Terry Gregory is about to start her own show. It will be filmed in the studio at Western, and it's, we've been having Rod doing these little 5-minute profiles of folks in the community. A little short ones like what he did for Crush. Josh, thank you. It just slipped my mind. Couldn't come up with it. And so she's going to do a series of that sort of little quick interview. I made an appearance before the Independent City Council last Tuesday morning, and I have relayed information to this council about that and seeking funding for WIMPEG for the remainder of this year and the coming year, and was received very well. And my understanding is that it looks very favorable for them to provide that funding for next year. We had our annual, or was every other year, volunteer recognition dessert. And it was nice to see all the folks most of the folks who volunteer for boards and commissions in the community, and we heard reports from a member of each board, and had nice desserts. It was a good gathering. I had last week was a week of meetings. I had the Surface Transportation Improvement stakeholder meeting with ODOT on Tuesday, and then on Thursday was the Transportation Options Advisory Committee. And those are 2 short-term boards that I was asked to serve on, so I said, sure, why not? And then Friday was the League of Oregon Cities Board. We had a goal setting and visioning process in the morning, followed by our regular board meeting in the afternoon. And then on Saturday was the Ford Family Foundation Community Vitality meeting over at the university, as we made some progress on the notion of a community information source there. So we'll see how that comes out going forward. Looking forward to seeing that. And then the only other thing I have is I would like to request council approval of 2 appointments. Royal Johnson requested a position on the budget committee, and I know we have 2 empty seats, so now we have 1 empty seat. And Robert Tomlinson, who is the founder of the Ash Creek Arts Center in Independence. He is an Independence resident, and we have a provision in our enabling ordinance that allows 1 non-resident member, and Robert asked to serve on our Arts and Culture Commission. So I would appreciate council approval for those 2 appointments.
I move approval of those appointments.
Second?
Moved and seconded, in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Cool. Working towards filling all those seats. One of these days, we're gonna have them all full again. Thank you both for stepping up with that And that's all I have. I would like to turn to reports from the council reps to the boards and commissions, and Councilor Silvernagle.
Senior Advisory Board met on February 25th last week. Expecting to have applications in mid-month, it sounds like, mid-March, for both Meyer Memorial and Ford Family shortly, for hopefully some potential funding towards that facility. They've got Skype training scheduled for this month, March 11th. The AARP tax aid help is continuing throughout this month as well, and next. They've got Willamette Valley Hospice coming in all the Thursdays in April to do grievance classes. They've got a new memory banking, which is a writing process where you would write your life story, basically, that they'll be doing over 2 weeks in March, the week of the 6th and the 13th. And they did vote to not include alcohol over at their facility. And the last thing I have on my notes is that they gave 76 pounds of food to the food bank last month.
Wow.
That concludes my report.
Thanks, Darren. I wish the seniors would get busy and do some stuff. They amaze me, all the things that they do. Councilor Carey, Arts.
Mr. Mayor, members of the Council, the Arts and Culture Committee met on February 25th. That's a Tuesday night. And because of some lack of clarity on my part in terms of whether the meeting was going or not, I did not attend. We had a basketball game earlier that day, and to dart over and attend the meeting, I was happy to, but I just didn't know that it was on, my fault, and so I did not do that. But I believe we had quorum. Almost. We're getting close. We're getting close. Well, I don't count quorum, do I? No. Yeah, so. However, now that we have Robert on board, hopefully we'll have quorum on a regular basis and move some things forward. So, were there any, I saw the agenda, were there?
Yeah, the key couple items, we're working on the spring music event, so we're kind of involved in that. And then prior, we suspended working on an arts brochure, and it was basically where can you find art in Monmouth? And so they're gonna kind of rejigger that a little bit, and we'll start working on that in earnest now too.
And how many spaces do we still have available? Do we still have two? Two, okay. I have one in mind that I'm gonna go recruit, so, good. That concludes it.
Okay, thank you.
Skeleton.
Councilor Schaefer.
Mayor and council, I once again am sad to say that I was unable once again to make it, and but I did talk to a member of the council, and they did discuss the ordinance adopting the legislation amendment 1302, and there was a small discussion on that. I also wanted to mention that they are, a historic commission, I wanted to mention that is coming up. We're having the Historic Preservation Month. I'm also the liaison to that, and they are planning on renting out the bookcase at the library once again, the main front, and putting in an exhibit in there once again, and will be meeting they'll be meeting tomorrow evening as well with Planning Commission, and to discuss these two things. And the Planning Commission has a few other things on the agenda tomorrow night. So apologize I can't make it. It's tougher and tougher for me to make it 2 nights in a row.
Okay. Councilor Meyer, Minnet, and we're going to have a full bore Minnet work session tonight. But
we are.
You can give us the.
I'll give something
for
the
beautiful
camera
owl.
here, exactly, for our citizens that are wondering how our fair partnership with our sister city Independence is, how that's going. But first, actually, Chief sent out a memo. The other committee I sit on that meets quarterly, traffic safety, actually meets on Monday night. So it doesn't come up often, so sometimes it doesn't get on here. But traffic safety will be in Volunteer Hall, 7 o'clock on Monday, and I believe that's the 8th? 10th? Thank you. Okay, the 10th. So that's the first thing, that's an upcoming meeting, so I'll have a better report next time, if anybody wanted to see that. Minnet. So Minnet had we had our board meeting on Monday morning, so yesterday morning at 7:30 over at the Minnet office, and talked about a number of things. We'll have the agenda here, but I will give you the Cliff Notes version. We talked about, we got a report on sales, and I believe we had 27 net new customers.
More.
More than that?
More than
Okay.
So over 30?
29.
29, excuse me, okay.
Close.
So I know we have a little bit of churn with different things, but we had a positive gain. And for, I believe, the 4th month in a row, we did have net income of over $104,000 for the month. So that has continued our streak of being over $100,000 since October, I believe. And we also went through recasting the budget, including some capital requirements, including some beta testing of some set-top boxes. So we're trying to see about that new technology, and it's moving quickly, but we are trying to beta test some things to see what we want to roll out to our customers on the cable side. And we also talked about some new marketing efforts that will be coming out in the future, as we've, I don't know if we signed it yet, but we have a marketing firm that we're working with to get our message out of why you should be part of MyNet services, whether it be phone, internet, or cable. And our new meetings will be on the 4th Thursday of each month at 7:30. We're not sure if it's going to be at the MyNet office or another place, but certainly look in the paper for those if you'd like to attend those meetings. And that concludes my report. And we will hear more here from Don from the horse's mouth here in a few minutes.
So I just have to tell a quick story of, was related to me today. It seems that College Station, Texas, home of Texas A&M has broadband on campus, but the community does not have any form of broadband. And they gave a specific example of a professor on campus who has started his own tech firm in town, and he goes off to work, and when he's done and he has a product he wants to show to anybody, his only choice is to load it onto a flash drive and mail it because their internet service in College Station is so bad. And the point of this entire story was that it's increasingly looking like it's going to be up, in many cases, up to cities to install broadband, because our telecommunications industry doesn't seem to want to make that investment. And all I could think was, well, of course, we did that a decade ago. So, it's that, and just another view of how forward-looking this idea of putting this broadband system in place in this town has been, and it's something that everybody in both cities should be very proud of, owning this thing. So, just had to pass that one along. I thought it was a good story. Any community announcements?
This Saturday is the wine and poetry tasting at the Monmouth Library. That will be from 6 to 8 p.m. Just a reminder, if you don't already have a reservation, there is no cover charge for this event. The poetry will be provided by local poets Donna Henderson and Professor Henry Hughes from Western, reading some of their own poetry, but also other poets. And they really want to be in the spirit of tasting. They're letting folks maybe who are coming for the wine and not so much the poetry to learn a little bit and get introduced to poetry. And I understand there are already over 50 reservations for this lovely event.
Oh, cool.
Neola Hills will be doing the wine tasting, and a really fun event, way to visit the library if you haven't before on an evening and get to know some other folks in town. So.
Very good.
And I'll give one, since we have some representation there. On the 14th, March 14th, I believe the doors open at 5:30 for networking, but it will be the Chamber Community Awards Banquet. Some know it as the First Citizen, but that will be at Eola Hills Winery in Rickrell. And if you need to get your tickets, contact the Chamber office, Gene Love, and you can attend. And I believe we have some former winners there on this dais, and Scott Phyllis and I are nominated in our categories. So if you want to come seeing one of us win or lose.
Well, that's the thing is, between Scott and Phyllis, one of them's gotta wind up not getting it, 'cause they're in the same category.
Yeah, there's three, they could both.
Right, that's right. I think we ought to declare joint winners on that one. Okay, any other community announcements?
Just a quick one, Mr. Mayor. Both central basketball teams have advanced to the OSAA 4A basketball tournament. The guys have it a little better than the girls. The guys host a game on Saturday at Central.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock tip time. The girls, on the other hand, are in LeGrand on Friday. So that's a 6 o'clock tip. It will be on the radio, I'm told. That's going to be a long day for the girls team, leaving in the morning and playing the ball game and coming back that night. Quick turn.
Right.
And Road Warriors, it's a business trip. And so anyway, good luck to both of those teams.
Absolutely.
The Western Oregon men's team has advanced to the GNAC. They're the number 5 seed in the Great Northwest Athletic Conference basketball tournament in Lacey, Washington. That begins Thursday, I believe. So a lot of good basketball going on in our community right now. So. And by the way, the state semifinals, of which could include both the boys and the girls, is in direct conflict with the whatever the banquet is called. So
Community award banquet.
yeah, as per usual.
Yeah.
So my best of luck to all of you. I won't be there.
Well, I thought I wasn't gonna be there either, so. I get on a plane about 3 hours later.
There you go. Any others?
Yep, just a couple
Manager
quick notes.
report.
Yeah, one, our former recreation building is a former officially now, so that folks have the ownership, and they've already came in, pulled permits, and they're working in the facility as we speak. So
Very
we'll see
good.
what they come up with there. And then second one, I know this may shock you, but we're actually starting up the transportation STC discussion, and we actually met with our consultant. We're going to go through and redo projects, get it to them, package it. I'd say within 2 months, we'll have a product back to you.
Very good. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, that was too short. Citizens' comments. Mark?
Okay.
And if you could give us name and city for the record.
Thank you, sir. My name is Robert Tomlinson, resident of Independence, Oregon. Thank you very much for allowing me to address you this evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, and city staff. I'm delighted to be here, and thank you for your vote regarding the Arts Commission. I'm excited to have the opportunity to serve the citizens of both towns, but especially the city of Monmouth. I wanted to spend just a couple quick minutes to give you an update on the Ash Creek Arts Center, since it is a new nonprofit organization. We are dedicated to serving the artistic and educational needs of the citizens in both Monmouth and Independence. As president of its board, I just wanted to give you an update and thought that I might be allowed to do this on a regular basis. In mid-December, we became an official nonprofit by filing with the state of Oregon. In early January, we filed the federal papers, so we're on our path to become a 501c3 in federal status. That will take 6 to 9 months. In the meantime, CEAS has generously offered to work with us and working with the Monmouth Independence Community Foundation to act as a fiscal agent if the opportunity arises for us to be able to apply for a grant again if the opportunity arises. Am I saying out of turn because it's not
No,
official yet?
just one of my fellow board members here that
I'm just shocked that we see the fiscal
he's
agent for a
shocked that the
nonprofit.
community foundation
Yeah,
is
well,
volunteering to do that.
How many does
It's
that
a
make?
stretch, I know, but we're appreciative of the trust involved. Okay, so we're currently functioning in 2 spaces, one in Independence and one in Monmouth. The City of Independence has given us access to their old public library, and we're offering free Saturday art classes for families from 2 to 4. Those are wildly successful, way beyond what we anticipated. We often have 50 people there on a Saturday. So we're very excited about that. We've offered one adult literature-based class called Character Development, and though my wife is teaching, it has nothing to do with a personal reflection on me. I just want you to know that character development is an important topic in fiction. Then we're, let's see, and we also have a footing in Monmouth. Terry Gregory, the owner of Mamire's, has generously offered her library space and turned it into an art gallery space for us. So we opened our first show last Thursday, and it's a result of our first collaboration with the students and with WU. The work on display it's a graphics program proposal by 13 students, 13 different proposals by 13 students for our graphics program and a logo. And we have a ballot box there. So we're inviting members of the community to come in, examine the different logo choices, and vote. So we have an idea of what the public thinks we should choose for our permanent logo and graphics program. This is the first of what I hope are many, many collaborative efforts that we will engage the university with. Current activities, as I mentioned, include the Saturday class, the literature class. In the near future, we are hoping to participate with the art activities in the farmers market as it comes of that time of year. We are planning a regional in scope literature festival to be an annual event, and the first one will be in the summer of 2015. We're allowing a year and a half so we have time to raise the money and do it properly. That would be a big thing, we think, in our region, and will encompass the citizens of both cities and the university. We'll be providing art projects for the July 4th celebrations and continue to expand our adult and children offerings. Any questions or comments?
I'm excited about the things that I'm seeing. Robert and I had coffee together, and I was blown away with the things he has lined up and, you know, in the wings, ready to go. And this is having this presence in our community. I think it's going to pay off handsomely in the long run. The start of this arts presence. I'm all in favor of it.
Great. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate your comments. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming.
And can I note that their activities are on our Facebook page?
You can know that.
Please.
Yes.
Absolutely. Oh, I should mention, we have a Facebook page too. That's
Yes.
Ashby Bar Sarah. Thank you for mentioning that. And we're also in the midst of a membership drive. In 2 months since we started, we've raised close to $3,000. So we're off to a good start.
And what does membership cost?
Minimum of $15.
Yeah.
Lifetime commitment $500.
Okay.
And we have 3 of those.
Wow.
So a nice vote of confidence from 3 generous citizens. Thank you.
Yep.
It's nice to know that the city doesn't have to start everything.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's
We
great.
have nonprofits outside the city.
Yep. And anyone else tonight?
That's true.
Okay. So we have an interesting twist tonight as we move to the business agenda. The first item is about the construction bidding process for the police station construction. And because we're proposing to pursue an exemption from competitive bidding, and what's this process called again?
Construction manager, general contractor.
Thank you. It's necessary to convene a local contract review board, which would happen to be us, the same 7 members of the city council. So, with that, I would like to call into joint session with the city council, the contract review board. Yeah, I know, I'm doing what the attorney told me to do. And I will note that there's no need for a roll call because all 7 of us are still here. And the business agenda for both bodies starts with a public hearing for the construction bid process. And we have a consultant and a police chief who would like to report to us about that. And so I will open that hearing for the construction bid process. And
Good evening, I'm Doug Roberts. The city has hired Hill International as your construction manager, or I'm sorry, as your project manager for the new Monmouth police station. We're here to request that you allow us the permission and direction to use the CMGC alternative contracting method in place of the traditional design bid build delivery. In my opinion, the CMGC process presents the city with its best chance for delivering the project on time, on budget, with controlled quality, and in my mind, most importantly, with minimized risk. The benefits of utilizing the CMGC selected through the RFP process is included in the findings that are in your packet. So I won't go over those points, but I'm certainly willing to answer any questions.
And so in a traditional bid build, we would advertise that we want to do this project, and folks would put in, well, I'll do that project for you for X amount of money. And traditionally, after sorting through and determining which of those bids came from people actually capable of doing the work, we would then be required to pick the low bid amongst those who have put in.
Right.
Whereas this process would be more of, sort of lay out the.
Okay. In this process, instead of waiting until your design is, let's back up. The traditional method is to complete your design. So you have a full design package, put it on the street, and you take all comers. Okay. So you don't know that you're on budget until you open the bids. And at that point, you're not required, but it's compelling to take the low bid, whether it's on budget or not.
Right. And I have seen many times where public projects have opened bids and said, never mind, and had to back up and redesign because things came in much higher than expected.
And the result, of course, is a loss of schedule.
Right.
Okay, doing the redesign, rebid, there's lots of outfall that follows that process. So in the CMGC process, we're going to hire the contractor as part of the design team. We hire them early on a qualifications-based RFP, request for proposal. And as part of that proposal, we're going to ask them why they think they're qualified, why they, to prove to us a lot of their capability, their financial capability, their project experience, and in their experience with the CMGC process, and in this case, their experience with law enforcement facilities. We're going to ask them to provide us several things. We're going to ask them to provide us their fee proposal, which is generally stated as a % of construction cost. So we'll lock down the fee. We're going to ask them to lock down their prices, their cost, or their cost for administering the project on site. And also ask them how their markup structure is on the cost of work itself once it's defined. So it's called a pre-construction service. Okay, that kind of wraps up the pre-construction. They participate as part of the design team. If I do my job right, they decide that they will work to the city's benefit. Once we get through to construction documents, then they're our contractor of choice. But they take the construction documents out on the street and bid all the work as everyone else has.
So they find all the subcontractors.
They find all the subcontractors, and the city is able to participate in the subcontractor selection, knowing how they're going to mark it up to get to the final building. Then they can build the building.
And so in there along the way, you're also in a design process with your selected person, and if you're seeing overruns, you can dial back the design before you ever get to final construction documents and make adjustments along the way, or if it appears that maybe you're going to have a little surplus, you can make a decision to add a feature that you might not otherwise, or not. And you may decide to just come in under budget, which is also a good thing.
So yes, they will participate. The benefit a huge benefit of this approach is that they participate in every meeting and every design decision with their eye on the numbers, eye on the cost. So we will constantly review every design element to make sure that we're getting the best solution for the right price. And if they say that we're not meeting our budget targets, then the design team launches into figuring out how to bring it back into budget. So when they provide us a guaranteed maximum price before they go to bid, and it's confirmed at bid time. So it's the best way to know going in that we're going to have a design that is affordable.
Okay. Council, does anybody else have any questions on this? Or maybe I should say contract review board, does anyone have any questions?
John, I've got a number of questions. When we're hiring the contractor, is there a set percentage, or is that something that's worked out? And traditionally, sometimes in residential, sometimes you get materials plus 15%. Is there a certain percentage, or is that something you're trying to work out with who you're selecting when that comes in?
As part of their proposal, they will define for us their markup. And the markup will be on the cost of work, which is labor and material.
Right.
Services.
Sure, okay. And then another question, and hopefully this comes out correctly. In the old way, with the low bid, the thing that you mentioned at the work session that causes problems there is change orders and running into change orders. So in your firm's experience, you've obviously had experience managing projects, both the old way and this newer way that seems to be taking hold in the state. What percentage would you say in the old way that you saw change orders be used that essentially makes the project rise from where you were hoping it to be, where it actually ended up in percentages? Does that make sense?
Yeah, obviously that's, the percentages vary depending on the type of project. Renovations are much riskier, there's more unknowns, and so the change order experience will be higher. In the traditional design bid build, there is pressure on the contractors to turn in a number to get the job. And there are some contractors that that specialize in recovery. It's not the case with the CMGC, because we will be monitoring the numbers and process throughout. As a project manager, that's one of the risks that we consider when we develop our reserves in the budget for change orders. Without a doubt, on a traditional delivery method, I carry a higher reserve for changes than I would with the CMGC. On this project, I'm suggesting a 10% reserve because we have a renovation of an existing facility with unknowns until we start construction. And also just the normal process of construction requires some change. That you expect some changes. For a traditional delivery method, they probably double that.
So percentage-wise, let me just be real specific. Probably 100% of the time, in the traditional method, you're seeing change orders happen. Okay, that's why you're saying 20% would be.
You're going to see change orders happen in either project, or in either delivery method. Okay. Just because of the nature of construction.
And you kind of answered one other question, which was contingency, which is 10%. But you're saying that in this case, because we can catch it in some of the design, that we should hopefully have lower changes to the process.
Just, do you have anything? And we'll probably come back around too, so.
Yeah, come back around, I think it'll be answered before it's done.
I guess the thing that since I've seen quite a few of these, at least down on our campus, the biggest advantage that I see, besides the ones that he's already mentioned, really is the way you can more or less manage to the numbers and value engineer things in and out up front rather than at the tail end of it, which puts you in a really good position to come in where you should be, at least my take anyhow on it. So it's one of the reasons that at least I think we've had some pretty good success on campus with it. And they, at least knock on wood, we've had really good luck of coming in within budget and on time. And so it really does help manage, I think. So I guess I'm kind of a believer in this process, that it works pretty well.
And as I mentioned during work session, I had a project recently that traditionally the rule of thumb is that you can take 7% of a budget, you can correct 7% of a budget overrun without impacting the functional requirements of the building. Okay. I had a CMGC project recently where we took probably 30 or 40% out without affecting the function of the building by looking at, we examined everything to find a better way to build a building. It wouldn't have happened with a traditional delivery method. You just would have been either back to the drawing board, back to design, or it would have been. I had a similar project that died in that circumstance.
John?
Not much really. I have been involved with some of the projects that Darren's talking about at the university and feel pretty good about this process, and was relieved to be reminded that where it's really important to have the competitive bids is at the subcontract level. I think much of this process, and again, the most recent one that I had experience with was really illuminating, and was very helpful. And so I'm on side with the process completely.
If I may interject, one benefit that we're seeing, we've had contact from 3 different contractors on this process. I expect that there's others out there, but the 3 that have actually called us are local contractors. Salem, Corvallis, the local area. And it also allows us to work very diligently with the subcontractors to search the local market for local trades that we may not be able to do in the hard bid.
Yeah, I think and the local aspect is for all kinds of reasons is important, as you well know, because if you got to get the boss here, they can get here. Not coming from Seattle or San Francisco or somewhere else. They're coming from, you mentioned Salem, Corvallis, and somewhere else, whatever. But that's essential.
Right.
Yeah.
Steve?
I don't have any questions.
Steve?
And that answered one of mine, I guess, just, I don't know if Scott or who prepared this attachment about the findings in support of this method, and it mentioned several times that one of the advantages are being able to consider things like on time, experience, safety record, things you don't normally get to consider in the public bidding process. So my question was, how many qualified folks generally will show up for this? And so you said you've already gotten some qualified inquiries.
I'm excited about all 3 outreach.
That answers my question.
Just maybe to further on that, just so you know, these findings were prepared by Carrie Connolly, an attorney in Eugene, who has some specialty in the CMCG contract procedures. As you recall, when we met in the work session, I wasn't comfortable in taking the lead on this because I've not had any personal experience in these contracts. I did find Carrie, who's done a number of them. She worked on these, I've reviewed them, I've touched them, Doug has touched them, so that's been the process by which you have these findings before you that are tested in the sense that they have been part of other processes in the generic sense, but then tailored to this project.
Thank you for that, Lane.
Yep.
And do I take public comment on this?
Yes, you open the public hearing
Wanted
for
to double check to
testimony.
make
Yep,
sure I knew what was going
absolutely
on.
right.
That's why we made you big bucks.
I did have two
Yeah,
questions.
okay, go ahead, Jesse. Thanks, Jesse.
I did want to ask, well, you said that there's negatives, and I see that in the findings, and there's a lot of positives for the CMGC, and there's negatives for the traditional bidding process. What are some of the negatives that you're going to foresee going with the CMGC process, and if there are any that you've had the issues with in the past, what would you foresee those being?
The biggest negative to the CMGC process is the hoops we have to jump through to use it, to get into it, and we're here tonight.
So this is a hoop we're jumping through, okay? Okay.
I'm,
Go ahead.
in prepping for this presentation, question and answer, I tried to figure out what it is I don't like about CMGC, and I couldn't find anything.
And then my last question would be, I know there's pretty substantial requirements based in here, but can you list some of the basic requirements to win the bid process for the general contractor? Safety, obviously, all these things that you've listed in the findings. Can you give me a rundown of what those are? Not every single one of them, but like why one would be, why one contracting board wouldn't work like a local group, smaller contracting service. Is there a requirement on a certain amount of jobs you have to have done? Is there anything like that I'm not sure.
The request for proposal that's on the street now has a very specific list of evaluation criteria. And unfortunately, I didn't bring it with me, I should have. But it does ask for experience of the contractor, experience of, and more importantly, and scored higher is the experience of the project, the specific project team that they're proposing for this project. Their safety record, their financial integrity, I said safety.
You mentioned earlier having done
Project
public
experience.
safety. Yeah, expertise.
Project experience on similar projects of this size.
Does a timetable come involved? Is that involved on like how long the timetable can be, or what we'd like it to be? Is that involved in the bidding process that they're going to be able to propose that they can?
We've told them what the timeline is.
Okay.
So two just quick ones. Your firm, I know you mentioned your personal, since this is I guess a fairly new process, how many of these processes has your firm managed overall? I know you've done some, but how many, just a rough guesstimate of how many you've done?
Hill International is 4,000 construction managers. I'm not sure how many the company has done, but
Hundreds?
probably thousands.
Thousands, okay. And how long has this method been kind of going up? 10 years?
No, I mean, it's much older than that. I'm not sure when
Yeah, I
it
was
was.
gonna say, I don't know how long it's been.
It's not new.
No, it's not new.
Right.
And I think as Council Silvernagle said, particularly state agencies have used it, the university system uses it, I think almost exclusively for larger sized projects. It's common with state agencies. Less common, but by no means unheard of in local governments, primarily because of this kind of the entry level complexity getting into it. But when you have the right team for local government, it has every opportunity to work as well for them as it does for state agencies.
I used it for the university system probably 12 or 14 years ago. So it's been around.
I guess my only concern, we talked about minimum requirements, I think 5, a contractor would have to have 5 experiences.
3, I believe.
Oh, is it 3? Okay, all right, I thought I had read 5, that basically they couldn't, and I thought, well, gosh, if this is a newer process, maybe not in time, but,
It's been around for a while.
They're up
No,
I mean, maybe new to us, but.
well, this is, in about 8 years, we've never gone through one of these
No.
processes,
Right.
and the university's done 2. and
Close
they're-
though. We've got at least a half dozen or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe more than that.
They get to do.
My just concern is are we weeding out too many people that have done a couple? At 5, it's a little different story, because, and if you weed out people from 5, how do they actually get 5 to apply? So you
Right.
can essentially keep the same people all the time. So, but at 3, I think that's a number gives them enough experience to prove their worth, but also not so much that we essentially limit our pool to who we want to win, which is what we're trying to avoid by doing competitive bidding, is not have the
Right.
same people doing all the work.
Yeah.
And I should mention just on that point, we do the testimony, but even in your regular construction contracting process, you can implement a pre-qualification process so that you don't get that home remodeler who wants to try out his hands at your police station. So you have, that's not exclusive necessarily to this process, to set some bars for pre-qualification of bidders.
I just don't want to set the bar too low, but I also don't want to set it so high that we get 2 people that qualify.
Okay, council, anyone else have any questions before I turn for public comment? Anyone with public comment? Seeing none, shall I close the hearing?
You certainly may.
I will close the hearing. And council, is there any discussion around this? We have, as the next item on the business agenda, a resolution exempting the police station project from competitive bidding. And that would be our end goal, having closed the hearing, is to consider that resolution, and if it pleases council, adopt said.
This will be a joint resolution of the council and the local
Thank you.
contracting board, yep.
Yep, and,
And just one vote, you just need one vote.
so I need to read this thing by title, so all that's on the record?
The
or-
title, yes.
Okay, so I will read the resolution by title, which is a joint resolution of the city council and the local contractor review board exempting the Monmouth Police Station project from competitive bidding requirements and directing the use of an RFP and CMGC alternative contracting methods. And council, is there any discussion around this resolution and the presentation that we have just heard?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was just going to point out for the audience and also for the council that after the whereas clauses, you have the same findings in the resolution as you had in the piece that Doug was presenting.
I noticed that earlier. So,
The only comment that I have, and I'm fully on side with the resolution, but it has for many, it has a rather onerous ring when it says exempt the police department, the project from the competitive bidding process, and that's only in a portion of the the deal. The competitive bidding will still be in place for the actual delivery of the materials and labor and other things.
Mhm.
And so, and this is probably boilerplate language, but it's in a sense unfortunate given what we're actually doing here. But for the record, there will be plenty of opportunities for competitive bids as this project rolls on.
And also for the record, yeah, because what you are, this is sort of your higher level contract with your construction manager,
Right.
general contractor. To your point, finding 9 in the resolution does expressly provide that the construction work elements will be subcontracted and procured through open competitive bids. So that's in your findings in the resolution.
Yeah, and that will be encouraging for those that get to the bottom of finding 9. Those that read the title might be misled by that.
Right, well,
But again, the assurance is there that
the title of finding 9, I think, is very encouraging, and it says unlikely to encourage favoritism or substantially diminish competition, and that's also a very important point. And then we go to the competitive process. Yes, Steve?
Well, I want to go back just to the title of the resolution, because it doesn't, well, it uses the word exempting, but it says it's exempting, but it's then directing the use of the RFP. So it's not exempting, it's just changing the way that we're doing the process.
Well, yeah, what you are doing is, if you don't adopt this, if you don't adopt an alternative method, you are in the standard competitive bidding process.
Right.
There is an element of competition to this because you're putting the RFP out there, and there is a competitive process for the RFP. I would say that these are terms of art in the title of the resolution, and I want to defer to Attorney Connolly. I would strongly recommend that you adopt the title as she's prepared it. It is perhaps boilerplate, but that's also home plate in terms of where you want to be. That's right.
That's right.
And competitive bidding requirements in this case really is a term of art. It does not mean that this will not be a competitive process in its own right to get to that RFP for the CMGC.
So, Lane, are you suggesting it's a wise idea for us to not be our own attorney?
Yes.
Okay. I'm all on board with that.
Abraham Lincoln would say that too.
Yeah. So are there any other comments or discussion around this resolution?
Well, I'm trusting John and Darren, having gone through it specifically in the area, and if they're comfortable,
I haven't been through it, but I'm really
They have been
comfortable.
through it. Not that I don't trust Doug, but certainly
I know.
that makes me feel a lot better than us kind of trying this out,
Right.
being the first one in the community to try this
Well,
out.
and what I'm saying is I haven't done it, but I'm still excited by the process. It looks like
The-
the way to go.
It seems like to me we're just bringing on a bigger team to start with,
Mm-hmm.
to start the game, and
And we're also nailing down our costs up front.
in that too. So, and I appreciate John for saying what he did, because on the face, coming in this first time, I would say that it was hard to get past the words. So to get to number 9, it took some reading and some listening, and I would put my trust in John and Darren as well. So.
Okay. So this would be Resolution 1771, and if there are no other points of discussion, I would request a motion to adopt said.
I move approval of Resolution 1771, a joint resolution of the City Council and the Local Contract Review Board exempting the Monmouth Police Station project from competitive bidding requirements and directing the use of an RFP and the CMGC alternative contracting method.
Second.
Moved and seconded, and a roll call, please, Phyllis.
Counselor Coons? Aye. Counselor Meyer?
Aye.
Counselor Milligan?
Aye.
Counselor Carey?
Aye.
Counselor Silvernagle?
Aye.
Counselor Schaefer?
Aye.
And I think, so is this?
You don't vote.
Counselor.
Okay, and so
Yep.
now that we run through and.
No, that
okay.
constitutes a vote of both entities. You are
Okay.
sitting in dual capacity.
Okay, so taking off one of the two hats we had on briefly.
So I move that we adjourn the Local Contractor Review Board.
Oh, thank you, Steve.
You don't need to do that.
Oh,
You're okay, yeah.
I wouldn't even have thought of it. So, thank you very much. And then the only other item on our business agenda tonight is the second reading of an ordinance adopting legislative amendment 13-02. And I will read that by title, and that is an ordinance amending the Monmouth Comprehensive Plan Map and Zoning Map. And as a reminder, currently the parcel on which the future police station building is located is zoned commercial office, and it needs to be rezoned to public use, public service, thank you. So that's the reason for this ordinance. And this would be ordinance 1341. And if there are no questions or comments or discussion around this, I would request a motion to approve that ordinance, 1341.
I move the second reading of the ordinance enacting legislative amendment 13-02, amending the Monmouth Comprehensive Plan Map and Zoning Map.
Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Phyllis?
Counselor Carey?
Aye.
Counselor Meyer,
Aye.
Counselor Schaefer,
Aye.
Counselor Milligan,
Aye.
Counselor Coons,
Aye.
Counselor Silvernagle.
Aye. Okay, so we have an executive session tonight, and we also have a work session, so I am going to read the script for the executive session, and I will then ask for any council comments and a motion to adjourn this meeting until after work session. So let me start with the script, which reads, the council will now meet in executive session for the purpose of discussing performance evaluation of public officers and employees. The executive session is held pursuant to ORS 192.6602I, performance evaluation of public officers and employees, which allows the council to meet in executive session. Representatives of the news media and designated staff or other persons shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to open session and welcome the audience back into the room. It is not anticipated that action will be taken this evening after returning from executive session. So again, the plan is we'll do work session and then we will reconvene the council meeting in executive session before we go home. And with that, are there any council comments tonight?
Go Central.
Go Central. Both teams. Let's go get them. Anything else? And with that, if I could have a motion to adjourn the council meeting until after the work session.
So moved.
In favor?
Aye.
And opposed? So, let's take a 5 minute